words are a shame, circumstances, and testimony. A shame, circumstances, and testimony. The world is not ashamed to push its agenda.
That's right.
We have Black Lives Matter, abortion advocates, Muslims, the atheists, liberal professors on the college campuses. We also have the LGBTQ and also a group called SOGI. And so you may be asking yourself, what is SOGI? As I was doing some research, I found out that SOGI is a radical sex education curriculum that had its roots in British Columbia starting in 2016. Now listen to this, saints. SOGI stands for Sexual Orientation and Gender Identification. This curriculum teaches children to celebrate the homosexual lifestyle and gender, and they tell them that gender is fluid and gender is not dependent on how you were born, but how you feel. They have children reading books called like 10,000 Dresses, where a little boy is dreaming about wearing a dress. Then they also have a song where they're teaching the children called the Rainbow Song. And listen to this verse. One of the verses says, gender won't decide the choices we make. Some boys like dressing up and some girls like catching snakes. But the devil is a liar, saints. The devil is a liar. We are going to push the agenda of Jesus Christ. But in our text, Paul, he wrote 1st and 2nd Timothy, and he also wrote Titus to encourage both Timothy and Titus to preach and preserve sound doctrine to their congregations in Ephesus, especially on the Isle of Crete. This letter is one of the New Testament letters of special concerns to churches and their pastors. These letters, 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, and Titus, are all referred to as pastoral letters. And now look, I had to ask myself, now saints, I had to really ask myself this question. I said, well, Lord, am I qualified to teach from Paul's pastoral letter? I'm not a pastor. I'm not expiring to be a pastor. But the Lord said, yes, you're qualified to teach from this subject, because he said in 2 Timothy 3, verse 16 through 17, it says that all scripture is given by inspiration of God. It's profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, and for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. We're still talking about not being ashamed. Not being ashamed, but not to bore your intelligence. The definition of ashamed, it is to feel shame, to feel guilt, to feel embarrassment or remorse. Instead of feeling ashamed not to have shared the gospel with our family members, friends, co-workers, or strangers, we should have been ashamed not to have shared the gospel with them. And I'm going to tell you this, saints, I thank God for Pastor Mercer, because down through the years, I mean, we've been in campus ministry, we've gone out and evangelized, we've shared the good news of the gospel with college students, but I tell you, there's been some times where I've dropped the ball when it came to evangelism. But I want to share this with you because we all can evangelize. We don't need a title in order to evangelize. We have all been called to share the good news of the gospel. But I tell you, there is a wrong way of evangelizing. The wrong way to evangelize is not to evangelize at all. But we have all been called to make disciples.
Amen.
Timothy, he did not have time to be ashamed because he had work to do, according to 1 Timothy chapter 1. Let's turn there. 1 Timothy chapter 1, we're going to look at verse 3 through 7. And it reads, 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 3 through 7. And it reads, as I urged you when I went into Macedonia, stay there in Ephesus, so that you may command certain people not to teach false doctrine any longer, or to devote themselves to myths and endless genealogies. Such things promote controversial speculation rather than advancing God's work, which is by faith. Verse 5, the goal of this command is love, which comes from a pure heart and a good conscience and sincere faith. Some have departed from these and have turned to meaningless talk. They want to be teachers of the law, but they do not know what they are talking about or what they so confidently affirm. Now listen to this. When Paul went to Macedonia, Macedonia is the chief city of Philippi. He left Timothy to provide leadership to the church at Ephesus, which Timothy had pastored. Some in Ephesus had moved away from sound doctrine, and they were narrowly focusing on Jewish law, genealogies, and myths, and were involved more in speculation than in teaching God's clear plan. And he said that two leaders among false teachers were Hymenaeus and Alexander. And Paul said that he had delivered them to Satan so they may be taught not to blaspheme, according to 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 20. But I thought about this, saints, because one day you're going to run into these people if you haven't already ran into them. But I thought about the Jesus-only Reformation. I thought about the Jehovah's Witnesses as well. You better believe at some point in time in your life that you're going to have to defend what you believe. And you've got to be prepared to know what you believe as well, so you won't be confused. But Timothy, he had to deal with these things that were going on in the church. He had to deal with it. But Paul, he wrote this encouraging letter to him. But listen to where Paul, his circumstances and where he was at. Listen to this. I want to digress for a second. Listen to this. In our text, the Apostle Paul was the writer of this text, and he was writing this letter to Timothy as his last will and testament. Basically, his final word. Yes. And typically when you hear about somebody, they're going, the Lord is about to take them out and they're writing their final words, those are normally the best words, but they're leaving, they're saying. That's right. But Paul, he was on his way out. He was in prison. He was in chains. All right. But he had it in his mind to write this word of encouragement. And Pastor Mercer, what I wanted to tell you, sir, is that, and I wanted to tell Faith Temple as well, sometimes the man of God has to go through things as well. The man of God is not immune to life. That's right. You never know your man of God what he's going through while he's up here delivering the word. Yeah. But it's imperative that we keep him lifted up. Yeah. That we pray for him. That I'm telling you, saints, it's very important because it's hard to deliver a word whenever you have to deal with some things on your own as well. But I thank God that Paul, he gave us a good example of what we should do whenever we're going through life's circumstances. Remember my words. Circumstances. Also, the three words I said, ashamed, circumstances, and testimony. But I'm amazed at how Paul, he teaches us to continue to fight and to preach the word despite our circumstances. Life will have you up. Life will have you down. Sometimes your pockets will be full or they may be empty. Sometimes, saints, everything is going right on the job. But sometimes everything is going wrong. We face sickness and death all the time. But we must preach the word no matter what. Our circumstances should not stop our preaching. Neither should our circumstances stop our evangelism. But we got to do what Paul did. We got to keep on preaching the gospel despite our circumstances, saints. Paul, he did something that we all can do when faced with difficult circumstances in life. Listen to what he did. Paul, he pulled back from one of his first experiences, his first imprisonment experience. Turn with me to Philippians chapter 1, verses 12 through 14. Yes. Philippians chapter 1, verses 12 through 14. And I know y'all already know the text. But in Philippians chapter 1, verse 12 through 14, he said that, now I want you to know, brothers, that what has happened to me has really served to advance the gospel. Yes. He said as a result, it has become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I'm in chains for Christ. He said because of my chains, most of the brothers in the Lord have been encouraged to speak the word of God more courageously and fearlessly. So Paul was saying, man, I'm not suffering as an evildoer. I'm not in chains because I went and I stole something, but I'm in chains for Christ. And I love what Jesus said, because he said in John 16 and 33, he said that in this world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. Saints, Faith Temple, what is your battle cry? What can you pull from? I can pull from my testimony of God's deliverance from difficult circumstances. Right after my wife having a major surgery in November of last year, little did I know, saints, that in December, a week before Christmas, I will be told that I'll be laid off from my job due to our job losing the biggest contract. Saints, we can never put our faith in our job, but we have to put our faith in Jesus Christ. But God, he gave me something. He gave me a scripture to hold on to. He gave me something even while I was going through, and I thank God for these words. He said that the Lord will answer you when you're in distress. The God of Jacob will protect you. He will send you help. He will grant you support from Zion. He will give you the desires of your heart. He will make your plans succeed. He said that you are victorious. The Lord will grant all your requests. The Lord, he saves his anointed. He will answer from his holy heaven. And then he said that some trust in chariots, some trust in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord. According to Psalms 20. And then he said, because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect